Hello, guys, and welcome back. So, this morning I've been sitting around inside of my fifth wheel, and I've been thinking about how grateful I am to have this home. I have a place to lay my head down at night, and I can stay warm, and I've got a place to make food, and a toilet to use, a television to watch, and I thought, man, I got it pretty good. And then I started thinking about me living in my car and what that was like. And, I think I had it pretty darn good then, too, because I can think back to times in my life where I had it a lot worse than what I had in my car. In my car, at least I had a roof around me, doors, glass to, keep the elements out like rain and wind. It didn't stop the cold. Maybe it did a little bit because I could stop the motor up at nighttime. But I didn't have a bed to lie flat in, and I didn't have a toilet to use, and I didn't have all my stuff with me. But in the end, it really wasn't that bad. It could have been much, much worse. I could have been on the streets with nothing, pushing a shopping cart. You know, so I was thinking, about times that I have had it bad in my life. And when I was a kid, I was like 15 years old. My mother had decided that she was going to go and get sober, and she decided she was just going to drop me off on the doorstep of my stepfather's house, his apartment, actually. And he wasn't there. He was off at work, and he didn't know that she was going to do that. And anyway, she dropped me off with him, and off she went to go and get sober, which it turned out to be the greatest move she ever made. But I ended up staying with this frickin' maniac. He was dealing dope. He was a raging alcoholic. He was abusive. He used to beat the crap out of me and my brothers. And she thought, well, this is the best place for you to go. Well, long story short, my brothers ended up going in different places. Like, my one brother went to live with his father. Another one of my brothers, I believe, went to live with my grandmother. And I ended up staying with this guy. Steve was his name. And there came a point where we had moved into a little duplex unit in North Hollywood. And he was, dealing so much dope. He was out of his mind. He was shooting, and he was completely out of his mind. And everyone that he was hanging out with was the exact same way. And well, he ended up owing some drug dealers a few $1,000s, and so he just up and left town one day and left me in the house. No food, no electricity, no gas. He just left and abandoned me. And well, at the time I had a roof over my head, I had a bed to sleep in, but that was about all I had. And I remember going down. There was this place in North Hollywood, over by the Burbank Airport, actually, and I don't know who the manufacturer is, but they make Doritos, and they had I guess that was like a distribution building over there on Van Owen next to this graveyard. And one night I went over there and I broke into one of those trucks and I stole I don't know how many cases I had of these Doritos, and I think I had Cheetos, and I had all these boxes, big boxes, all these bags of chips, and I go running off through the graveyard, go back to my house, and yes, finally I've got some food. I just eat the hell out of these Doritos, and my friends come over, we're getting high, or like, yeah, you want some Doritos? Yeah. Anyways, so as a kid, it was cool at the moment for a very short time. But then it turned out that was all I ate for weeks. it was awful. You know, it's like you get to a point that you don't ever want to see a Dorito again in your life. Uh, so that was just one time where I had it much worse off, you know, when I was young. And probably the worst time I can ever remember had to have been when I was in jail. I told you guys I was arrested for riding around in a stolen vehicle with somebody. And I was just, at the time when I was arrested, I was high out of my mind, been doing blow and who knows what else. You know, at that time I was doing pretty much anything I could get my hands on. Mainly coke and speed, alcohol, weed. That was about it. But I got arrested for riding around in this car that was stolen. And I end up getting thrown into jail, into Supermax up in whatever, in Los Angeles. And I was coming down off the dope. I was in there, you know, I don't know how many days, but I couldn't sleep, and I was like so depressed, and I was like, man, I gotta do something. I gotta get some sleep. So I go in and I see this doctor. I tell the doctor, hey, look, you know, I'm depressed. I can't sleep. Is there anything that you can do or give me so that I can get some rest? And, well, this doctor, he gives me some pills. I don't remember what it was. But he said, I think I have a program that you would fit into quite well. Like, okay, well, what is it? So don't worry, I'll sign you up. Okay. I don't know what it was. Like the next day or so, they transferred me out of the Supermax unit down to the LA County Twin Towers, old county jail down there. And they shackled me down to this wood bench, and I'm there for like 16 hours, strapped down to this wood bench. No padding or nothing, you know, and so my bones are like aching. And after 16 hours, and I asked this sheriff's deputy, I say, hey, you know, why am I still sitting here on this bench? What's going on? And I told him, you know, my bones are hurting from sitting on this for so long. And the guy tells me, well, then you shouldn't have told that doctor that you were hearing voices that were telling you to kill yourself. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? The sheriff just ends up walking away, and then not too much longer, they came and got me to where I was going to spend basically the next 8 days in hell. So they transferred me into this unit of basically people that were crazy as hell. That's all I can say. They were all out of their minds. And I mean, we're talking schizophrenic, talking to themselves, you name it. I was totally not expecting this. I had no idea what was going on. Anyways, they take me into this unit, and I was in a cell on the second floor. They were one-man cells. Once you go in the cell, you stay in the cell until you get transferred out of there. Or I think it was like once every few days they'd let you out for a shower, one person at a time. Anyways, that place was just absolute hell. The sheriff's deputies, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, they were committing more crimes than probably most of those guys that were locked up behind the bars for crimes they committed. I would see these sheriff's deputies open up these cells and let these trustee guys beat the crap out of some of these guys in these cells, these guys that had these serious mental problems. And the cops would do it and tell these trustees, you know, beat the shit out of this guy. And they would do it just for laughs. But I mean, I could go on and on about this 8 days inside of this place, but probably the worst part was that when they first put me into my cell, I had no pad on the bed. It was just a metal slab, and I slept that way for 7 days. On the 8th day, they brought me the pad, but in my cell, beside my metal slab, was a toilet and a sink, and the toilet was filled, overflowing mounds of other people's shit. It had been clogged up for who knows how long. The sink was filled with toilet paper, and people had pissed in the sink. You could tell it was all yellow. And anyways, they put me in that cell like that, and they left me like that for 5 days. I had to eat next to it, I had to sleep next to it, and one night there was a nurse making the rounds, coming and giving all these guys their medication, and a deputy would walk with her as she would hand out the drugs. And I told her, I said, hey, can't I get hepatitis from this? I said, this is, I've been sleeping next to this for days. And I've been sleeping on this metal slab for days, and my bones hurt. And she looks at me and she says, well, you've been in here so long doing that, you should be used to it by now. And I told her, I said, the crimes being committed against me are far worse than the crimes I committed to get myself in here. And the deputy turns to me and says, you better shut up or it's going to get a lot worse. So, yeah, I've had some really rough times in my life, and thankfully that stay in that unit only lasted 8 days before I was moved out of there. But man, those sheriff deputies, those nurses, I don't even know what to say about them. Even after all these years, it's been so long. I hope that karma came around and paid them a visit. Anyways, I've been rambling, guys. What's the moral of this story? Living in your car is better than going to jail, I guess. But that's just another one of my stories, guys. And thankfully I'm not in the place that I used to be. And I'm thankful that I'm in the place that I am now. And thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.